And now to talk about our module of the week, let's turn it over to Martin Anderson-Klutz, a senior solutions engineer at Acquia and a maintainer of a number of Drupal recipes and modules of his own. Martin, what do you have for us this week?
Thanks, Nick. Have you ever wanted a simple way to insert Embed content on your Drupal site? There's a module for that. It's called URL Embed, and it was created in September of 2014 by the venerable Dave Reed. The recent releases are by Mark Fulmer of the University of Texas at Austin. It has 2.0.0 Alpha 3 and 3.0.0 Beta 1 versions available, the latter of which works with Drupal 10.1 or 11. That said, it does declare a dependency on the Embed project, which unfortunately doesn't yet have a Drupal 11 ready release. It is actively maintained. It technically has security coverage, or at least has opted into it, but needs a stable release. It also has test coverage and a documentation guide. In terms of open issues, there are 63 of them, 4 of which are bugs against the current branch, which is quite good considering it's in use by 7,088 sites, according to Drupal.org. Now, a content creator using this module only needs to provide a URL to the content they want to embed, as the name suggests. The module provides both a CK editor plugin and a formatter for link fields. Note that you will also need to enable a provided filter plugin for any text formats where you want users to use the CK editor button. Probably the critical distinction between how this module works and other elements of the media system is that this bypasses the media library and as such is better suited to one-off uses of remote content like videos, social media posts, and more. It's also worth mentioning that the module provides a hook to modify parameters that will be passed to the Embed host. For example, to set the number of posts to return from Twitter. I can definitely see this as a valuable addition to the event platform that we've talked about previously on this podcast, but the lack of a Drupal 11 ready release for the Embed module is an obvious concern. So if any of our listeners want to take that on, it would be a very valuable contribution to the community. And let's talk about URL Embed.
I wonder if this works with unpublished YouTube videos because as somebody who creates a post every week to release a podcast episode, but the YouTube video is not published yet, that is the biggest block. I mean, I know that you said that this bypasses media, but right now I'm just using kind of a bare field and building it myself. It would be nice to use, use something that does embed a little bit cleaner. But I wonder how it works with unpublished content because right now the media module does not handle that situation whatsoever.
You have a podcast, Nick? Sorry, Martin, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is it that the media library won't add the media entity if the originating content is unpublished? Okay. Yeah, it'd be worth.
Yeah, it can't reach the endpoint, so it blows up. And if you unpublish it, if you unpublish the YouTube video, for example, after it's been deployed, you can't, I think you even get errors on the front end. Rather than just seeing like the gray box, like you can't access this, it's like Drupal can't reach the embed endpoint. Things fail spectacularly.
Worth testing, that's for sure.
Yeah. So I think another use case here that I actually have come across recently is integrations with digital asset managers. You know, a lot of times they don't necessarily have great integrations into Drupal, or they don't have integrations at all into Drupal, right? So one use case that I've seen is like adding a field to Drupal that's just a basic like drop a URL in here, and then we'll build out kind of how that thing should be displayed. So I wonder if this could be a replacement for that approach where it kind of supports that Embed ability a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm obviously a little biased, but I would suggest that if you can go with a DAM that has a very robust integration with Drupal out of the box, then obviously that's a good route to go.
Martin, do you know any DAMs that you could suggest?
I happen to be acquainted with a company that is one of the top contributors to Drupal and also provides an industry-leading DAM. So if folks want to hear more about that, hit me up on the socials after.
There you go. Yeah. So yes, I don't disagree with that. Like if you can go, if you're choosing a DAM and you know that your CMS platform and you can kind of like pick one that works, great. What we tend to see is a lot of times there's like an incumbent DAM that people are trying to integrate with, and it doesn't always have a Drupal module, or they say that, yes, we have a Drupal integration, but it's like, some sort of script somewhere somebody built, and it doesn't always work as great.
Yeah.
The first question there, who's interested? I'm interested. That's the media management track lead to find solutions to do all these things. And one of the things is, if we want to embed SoundCloud and Spotify embeds, for example, what's the best way to do that for the ecosystem? And to begin with, we might have a tool that gets us 80% of the way there, but doesn't do everything we want, like integrating with the media library. But it's much easier to take something that's pretty well formed and polish it than it is to start from nothing. So yeah, I'm looking at all these different modules to see how we can make things fit.
Yeah, I think you reading through the notes here, like the Twitter embedding and stuff like that is interesting. I don't know. I've never thought of it that way, but anyway.
Yeah, I know there's a suite of modules like Instagram Media Entity and a few others that are popular, but I've also seen a lot of sites where those tend to be kind of one-off uses, not things that they really need to use again and again. So something like this, where you're not necessarily cluttering up your media library with a bunch of things that are likely never going to be used again, seems like it's a pretty sensible approach.
Yeah.
That's the other thing to find a balance with, because we don't want 100, 200 providers for people to have to scroll through to find what they want.
Yeah, that'd be nice. All right. Thank you, Martin. As always, another on-topic module of the week. If our listeners wanted to suggest one, what would be the best way to do that?
We are always happy to talk about interesting projects for Module of the Week in the Talking Drupal channel of Drupal Slack, or folks can reach out to me directly as ManClue on all of the Drupal and social platforms.
All right. See you next week.
See you then.